There was this Lake Jay and his brother JJ used to fish there all the time. That lake wasn't exactly famous. No flashy signs, no crowds. Even back then, I remember it being decently stocked, but locals mostly wrote it off as inconvenient. We'd set up near a little rocky ledge, but then something caught my eye on the far side. Low visibility, big lake. It was hard to tell what exactly was going on. A dark shape rose from the water. No way. It was a fish. It's a person. How strange is it? A human in the water after sunset, submerged for who knows how long, not just floating. We'd have noticed them earlier if they were just chilling near the surface. It freaked me out. My heart started racing. I wanted to bolt. JJ didn't. He said we'd only been there a few minutes, that this person was way too far away to matter. So we stayed, watched, tried to make sense of it. The figure moved rhythmically, almost like they were dancing with the water. Was she fishing underwater? Ridiculous. JJ suggested maybe she was swimming. That sounded plausible until I dipped my hand into the water, cold as ice. You'd have to be crazy to enjoy that. I snapped out of it and told JJ we should keep fishing. He didn't move, just sat there frozen, eyes glued to the water. JJ, I called. Frustration crept in. He finally looked at me, then back, didn't say anything. Picked up his rod with a shaky hand. Sorry, he muttered. We tried to get back into it, but our minds were elsewhere. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe she'd surface or notice us, but she just stood there then. After a few minutes of mindless casting and reeling, JJ tapped me. Look. I turned and saw her again, submerged, vanished back under the water. Time passed, minutes ticked by. I realized JJ had his phone out with a stopwatch running. 2 minutes, 3. My breath caught. How long could someone hold their breath like that in freezing water? JJ theorized maybe she was training an Olympic diver, testing lung capacity in some remote lake. That wasn't funny anymore. Jay steps forward cautiously, calculating distance to the mysterious figure. JJ catches Jay's glance and realizes what he is seeing. This isn't a submerged corpse, but someone actively moving. Jay's realization sparks fear. They must leave before something worse happens. Though startled, JJ agrees. Curiosity keeps them rooted despite their fear. The group lingers, drawn to the sight of motion beneath the surface. She rises slowly, beautiful, serene, defying expectation of danger. The revelation calms Jay's panic. She is alive, not just a ghost. She speaks first. Charming, almost teasing, her presence feels welcoming. JJ's impulsiveness surfaces. He blurts out his confusion. Her invitation is both inviting and terrifying. Why would anyone swim in such cold water? Jay's skepticism returns. The coldness of the water seems too much to bear. Her laughter masks hidden danger. Or is that just her charm? His skepticism deepens as he watches her. What's she planning? A chill runs down Jay's spine. Something about her doesn't feel right. They decide to flee, but not before asking one final question. Who is she? Her scream echoes through the marsh. A warning or a plea. Her voice grows louder. She doesn't want them to leave. Her voice becomes a scream without meaning, terrifyingly primal. They're escaping, but not without lingering doubt. They've escaped, but the question remains, was she real or just a trick of the light? They call the police, hoping someone else can explain this strange encounter. That experience discouraged us from going back to that lake for a while. Yes. We spent 20 minutes poking around with paddles. Mud, weeds, nothing. We cracked open beers, got into it. Just enjoying the quiet. He started taking off his shoes and pants, said he was going to wade in. I thought that was a solid plan, better than paddling. Angel stepped into the water, cursing how cold it was, but he kept going. Jay watched from the kayak, growing impatient by the minute. The water was freezing. Angel yelled and flipped forward, 1 second upright, next completely submerged. Before Jay could jump in, Angel burst up from the water, covered head to toe in muck. He kept glancing back over his shoulder, like something might follow them. Back on land, Jay asked what happened. Angel said something grabbed his ankle and yanked him underwater. He searched online but found nothing conclusive. Part of him wants to go back, maybe find out what's down there. It should be fun, but now it feels haunted. Kat and Megan had come to the reservoir for drinks, maybe a quick swim if they felt like it. It was their secret hideaway, 10 minutes away from Megan's house, through woods marked by no trespassing signs, but with an old hole cut through. Even though Nick and Jay knew they wouldn't fish hard that night, they started setting up anyway, part of their ritual. They were both curious by nature, even when it was just about fun or quiet time with friends. Then Kat spotted something strange, a canoe lodged deep in reeds near the water's edge, oddly placed as if it had drifted without being tied off. They'd never seen this before, despite visiting dozens of times. Kat and Megan were already into their music, blasting tunes loud enough to drown out any distant noises. They waved off Nick and Jay, not realizing what lay ahead in those woods. When Nick and Jay reached the bank, they noticed more than just a strange canoe. There was an open tackle box, half-eaten sandwich wrapped in plastic, and even a phone with flashlight on. All signs someone had recently been here. But why? The more they looked, the stranger things became not just the canoe, but also an open tackle box, untouched drink cans, and a glowing phone with no battery left. Something had happened here recently, something that didn't look like normal fishing day anymore. Jay shrugged, but his mind raced. This whole situation felt too convenient. The abandoned canoe and mysterious phone didn't fit. Someone would have left something more obvious if they were scared. Jay considered the possibility. Maybe it was just a startled intruder who fled before catching sight of them. That lone phone was the real puzzle. No sane person would abandon such evidence in terror. Everything made sense now, except why this abandoned canoe was still here, untouched. They told the girls everything. Every detail made their unease grow stronger with each word. As Jay recounted details of the canoe's eerie presence, a creeping dread settled over everyone. A wave of dread washed over Jay. Something was watching, waiting. No theory felt right, especially not with that mysterious phone still lingering nearby. As they packed to leave, Megan's sudden cry signaled that something worse was approaching. The figure standing in water, motionless, watching them, turned their fear into full-blown terror. The sight stopped Jay dead. The person was standing still, facing them, watching. He didn't just yell. He charged across the water, determined to chase them down. Jay screamed the word, "Run," and they sprinted back toward safety, hearts pounding. Jay squeezed through the fence, hearing splashing behind him, a sound that sent chills down his spine. As Jay made his escape, he heard something moving in the water, a sound that sent shivers down his spine. They scrambled into their vehicle and sped off, hearts pounding, unsure if they'd made it alive. 20 minutes later, they gathered at Megan's house, shaken up and struggling to comprehend the terror that just unfolded. Kat couldn't stop shaking. Nick offered comfort, but even his calmness couldn't ease her fear. They questioned everything. Who had screamed? Why were they in the water? And what could possibly have happened to the canoe's owner? Megan questioned the logic, drawing attention in a secluded marsh, especially when strangers were already there. Kat begged to call the cops. What story could they even give? Trespassers who found a canoe and were chased by someone already in the water. No one spoke, each absorbed in their own fear, unable to form words that made sense. Months passed. They avoided returning, haunted by the memory of the screaming man in the water. A part of Jay still yearned to return, but he couldn't convince his friends, who feared the unknown. He decided to leave. Maybe the best choice. But he knew this memory would never fade. Ever.